Let's get ready to rumble!
Welcome back to Keep It Real Boxing. This is Cypher Box. Been a while since I've done a video. Do apologise for that. Been a little bit busy, but definitely want to talk about this one. You know, this weekend we had Lomachenko, the big one, Lomachenko versus Rigondeaux. And before I get into this video and start talking about what transpired on Saturday night or early Sunday morning here in the UK between these two guys, I just want to say a big congratulations to Lomachenko, who outboxed, outclassed, and eventually made Rigondeaux quit on his stool. Before I even get into the whole Rigondeaux thing, I think Lomachenko put on a really good performance. He obviously clearly did his homework when it came to Rigondeaux. Went in there with full of confidence, imposed his style onto Rigondeaux. Throwing punches and trying to throw punches in bunches. Creating angles, his foot movement, avoiding Rigondeaux's counter punching abilities. When Rigondeaux was trying to, get his jab going at times, he did throw a lot of punches, Rigondeaux, let's be honest. I just think, Lomachenko, just nullified anything Rigondeaux could do. He nullified Rigondeaux's skill sets and just outclassed the guy, let's be honest. And that forced Rigondeaux to give up in the end. I know he says the reason for it was his hand. He had a hand injury, which I will get into in a little bit. But all credit to Lomachenko. He did what he was supposed to do. And he went in there and got the victory. A notable victory as well, which just, strengthens his position in the sport of boxing today. I am going to go through a lot of things, don't get me wrong. I know there's going to be a lot of people out there, a lot of individuals out there who are going to try and make excuses. I was one of these people who said that I wouldn't make any excuses for anyone, either fighter, in my opinion. And I kept saying, may the best man win. And clearly Lomachenko was the best man on the night, and he deserves his victory. Now, I'm kind of glad I didn't do this video immediately. I didn't do like an immediate reaction on Sunday morning, or didn't get the time to do it Monday either. And I'm kind of glad I've waited, because it's given me a bit of time to think a few things over, and really kind of, in my opinion, assess what went on between Lomachenko and Rigondeaux, and especially from Rigondeaux. I have to admit, I'm kind of glad, because I was on Sunday morning after the fight ended, I was extremely frustrated with Rigondeaux, and quite peed off actually as a boxing fan. Yeah, as you know, I'm not a fan of any particular boxer. I am a fan of the sport of boxing. I want to see the best fight the best. I want to see undisputed champions. I want to see champions fighting champions. I don't care who they are. I just want to see the top fighters, the big fights that we all want to see. I don't have any allegiances to any particular fighter. But I was peed off with Rigondeaux from a boxing fan's point of view. I was so psyched about this fight. So psyched. Because being the boxing purist that I am, I don't just like the slug hit, the slugfests. I don't just want to see fighters, I hit you, you hit me. I love technical boxers. I do. I absolutely love watching technical boxers like Lomachenko and Rigondeaux. And if they're both in the same, I like seeing chess matches in the ring as well. I do enjoy all of that. I enjoy all aspects of the sport, all styles, all types of fights. Yeah. Yeah, you know, when there was a rumor going around that this fight was going to be made, I did quite a few videos, and the reason I did those videos is because I was concerned that this fight wouldn't happen. You know, being that Bob Arum is Lomachenko's promoter, if you watch enough of my videos, if you've subscribed to my channel long enough, you'll know I'm not the biggest fan of Bob Arum. You know, I'm just not a big fan of his, yeah? I don't trust the guy. And, you know, I was worried that the fight wasn't going to happen. So I kept making videos saying that I'm not going to believe it until I've seen the contract signed, until, you know, Top Rank officially announced it and stuff like that. You know, never did I say I didn't like Lomachenko. You know, although a lot of Lomachenko fans were trying to give me a hard time. I've always said Lomachenko's a very good fighter. I've always said Rigondeaux's a very good fighter. And this would be a great fight, and I would love to see it. You know, and finally the fight got made, and Rigondeaux does what he does on Saturday night. He quits. You know, he quit. I don't believe the whole hand injury thing, to start off with. I'm being honest with you. But let's talk about Rigondeaux's performance. He didn't even show up on Saturday night. He did not show up to work. Well, he showed up to work, but he had a bad day at the office, a seriously bad day to office, which has cost him massively in his career. You know, I mean, look at his performance in the ring. He barely threw a punch or landed a punch. You know, I was expecting him to give Lomachenko a bit of a better test, a tougher test than that. You know, he didn't. He had the reach advantage. He had like a 3-inch reach advantage. You know how Rigondeaux works. He likes to work. You know, he likes to use that jab. You know, keep his opponent at a distance, but at the same time, because he's got that reach advantage, he's able to keep himself out of the distance of his opponent's shots as well. He wasn't able to do that. He likes to slow the pace down, one shot at a time. You know, create his own angles, movements, and stuff like that, and move out the way of his opponent's offensive skills. You know, he was doing that thing, you know, that he always does. You know, when his opponent come in, you know, he crouches down and rolls the shoulder back, but usually he comes out with a good clean shot to counter that. Or when he goes down like that, he tends to pivot out left or right, moves his head, you know, doesn't allow his opponent to land shots. And he was unable to do that. And of course that was because of Lomachenko's skill sets, let's be honest, yeah. Lomachenko was throwing that jab continuously, peppering him with that jab at times when he would bend down like that, you know, throwing those lefts of his, you know, left hooks, left uppercuts. You know, if Rigondeaux would go down, he would catch him down below in the chin. You know, I just can't believe what I saw from Rigondeaux. You know, it was like, he just wasn't doing the normal stuff that he was doing, and that's a credit to Lomachenko. You know, that was a real credit to Lomachenko, because if you could take a fighter like Rigondeaux, who we know is very talented, you know, has a strong amateur background, you know, has a very strong set of skills, like, you know, defensive skills like Rigondeaux does, and you can nullify all those things he does that we've always admired about him. You know, just shows what a good performance Lomachenko put in on Saturday night. Another thing was, you know, Rigondeaux was doing all this sort of, he was trying to hug and hold Lomachenko, you know, at times, like literally bear hug him. And Lomachenko, you know, he obviously told the referee what he was going to do, you know, and the ref said you can't use your head when you're doing that, but he obviously did his homework with Rigondeaux, because he would bend all the way down, straighten his arms up, bend all the way down, pull himself out of that hold, and then fire back with shots. You know, or the referee would have to eventually step in. And I've got some pics which I'm going to put up in a bit, you know, which will come across the screen, and you'll see what I'm on about when I'm talking about this whole bear hugging thing that Rigondeaux was doing. You know, I just don't, you know, I'm just lost by Rigondeaux and what his game plan was going into this fight. I felt by the 3rd, 4th round, Rigondeaux started feeling sorry for himself. You know, he didn't lose because of a broken hand. He lost because of a broken heart. That's what Lomachenko did. He broke the guy's heart. Because I think it was the 3rd or 4th round, he went and sat in his corner, Rigondeaux, and he was slouching on his stool. Yeah? He was literally slouching on his stool, and his head was down, facing down. You know, and starting to feel sorry for himself. You started seeing the frustration in Rigondeaux building, and that was the evidence of that was at the end of the 5th round. So as we were nearing the end of the 5th round, when they were up against the ropes, and if you watch the fight, you'll remember this. Rigondeaux had Lomachenko in a headlock, and from behind though, and when the bell sounded, he threw Lomachenko into the ropes, and Lomachenko stood back up and popped out a left jab. You know, so Rigondeaux, a little bit of a cheap shot from Rigondeaux, and Lomachenko came back with his own cheap shot and said, "Here you go, bang," and then smiled in his face and kind of like adjusted his shorts and, you know, puffed his chest out, and because he knew he had him. And that was an obvious sign of Rigondeaux's frustration. He was frustrated by that point. You know, we saw the 6th round. Lomachenko was just getting stronger and stronger each round. And then eventually, Rigondeaux, you know, before he didn't even come out for the 7th round, quits on his stool, gives it up. Claims it was because of a hand injury, which, I'm sorry, in my opinion, was an absolute excuse. You know? That was an excuse. I mean, the whole thing about, you know, throwing Lomachenko into the ropes from a headlock. Lomachenko, you know, credit to him, you know, shout out to him, you know, fair enough, you know, fair play, you know, he retaliated. But this sort of thing that fighters do when they're frustrated, when their opponent's getting the better of them, when their opponent's beating them to the punch, when they can't catch or slow their opponent down, you know, when they're simply being outclassed, they will act up and start behaving in that way in the hope that they can throw their opponent off their game. But the only person that got thrown off their game was Rigondeaux, was Rigo. He's the only one who got thrown off his game. And I think when he saw that wasn't going to work, he decided, that's it, I'm just going to quit. You know, but it shows a lot about Rigondeaux's character. That, simply put, he doesn't have heart. He doesn't have heart. He doesn't have that ability to dig deep when he's up against it and come back fighting. You know, clearly he's one of those individuals that when he finds himself in a situation where his opponent's so good that he's being outclassed by his opponent, he will just quit. You know, I think it was also a massive shock to his system. You know, from a psychological point of view, Rigondeaux was confidently, you know, going there. We saw all the build up to this fight on social media from Rigondeaux, all the trash talking, all the memes, or what do they call it, boxing tunes, you know, which I've showed on my videos as well. I loved it. I loved what he was doing, and that just added more to the, you know, the hype of the fight. And you know, when you walk in with that mentality and then you go up against a guy and he does what Lomachenko did to him, it is a shock to your system because you're not expecting that. You know, you're going in with all that confidence, saying, you know, talking the way he was, and he was saying he was going to knock, you know, all this stuff, knock Lomachenko out. You know, he was going to be too much for Lomachenko. You know, basically Lomachenko wasn't in the same league as him, and he was saying he was doing a lot of trash talking. When you go in there and the complete opposite happens to that, and you realise that, wow, this guy's really good. That, you know what, I've underestimated this individual, and you get frustrated in the ring and you can't do anything. You can't counter what your opponent's doing to you. You know, it's a shock to your system. And unfortunately for Rigondeaux, instead of actually showing heart and, you know, thinking, I'm going to keep fighting, you know, there's rounds left in this fight, I might get that shot in, that might change the course of the fight. His mindset is to give up and quit. That's it. Lay down. And I just want to touch a little bit more on this point, about Rigondeaux giving up, the lack of heart he showed. And let's be honest, that's what it was. He lacked heart. And I saw a interview from Conor Benn, son of British boxing legend Nigel Benn, and he was asked about his thoughts of what happened what happened on Saturday night between Rigondeaux and Lomachenko, with Rigondeaux quitting. And first of all, just like everyone else, he was extremely shocked by it. But he made a really good point, and I've heard this point being made before by fighters, is that you could have all the skills and abilities in the world when it comes to boxing, but the true test is when you're up against it with all those skills and all that talent, when you're up against it like Rigondeaux was, whether you've got heart, whether you've got that champion's mentality to make the adjustments and overcome what's going on in the ring. And I was shocked that, Rigondeaux didn't even make any adjustments. And, I totally agree with Conor Benn that you can have all the skills in the world, but if you've got someone, in front of you who just won't stop coming, and, imposes his will upon you, you got two choices. You either give up like Rigondeaux did, or you keep fighting and you try and find a way, because that's what champions do. They try and find a way. They try and find a way to win. A good fighter will always try and find a way. He'll show heart and keep going. Well, let's talk about what happened in regards to Rigondeaux's attitude after he quit. His interview in the ring, where when he was asked what happened, he turned around and said, there was no issue with the weight. The weight was fine. He said that himself. His translator obviously translated for him and said the weight wasn't an issue. He also said, quote, Lomachenko wasn't really doing anything. I beg to differ, of course, with that, because he clearly was doing something. That's why you quit. And then turned around and started, with his left hand, started saying, it was the hand injury. I hurt my hand. Or was it in the second or third round? He said it was. And, that's why I had to stop. I couldn't fight anymore because of that reason. Let's be honest. There was no hand injury. Yeah, let's get into this. I don't want to hear this excuse. Oh, there was a hand injury. There's a hand injury. No hand injury. There was no hand injury. Let's be honest about this. Yeah, I'm going to keep it real with you guys, as I always do on this channel. That's why it's called Keep It Real Boxing. I'm going to keep it real with you. There was no injury. You quit because, you gave up because Lomachenko was too much for you. He was too good for you. Simple as that. There was no hand injury whatsoever. Let's talk about that hand injury a little bit. Even if let's entertain that reason for a second, right? Let's just entertain that. I'm not saying that there was a hand injury, but let's entertain it. Let's say he did have a hand injury. You still don't quit. Yeah? In a fight of this magnitude, you do not quit. When he said that, a thought ran through my mind, and that thought was, immediately I thought of Tara Gatti versus Mickey Ward. A lot of people are saying, where's this coming from? You remember that trilogy between, if you've been watching boxing long enough, you'll know what I'm on about when it comes to Gatti versus Ward. Yeah, one of the greatest boxing trilogies you're ever going to see. Yeah, truly was. And I remember in one of those fights, I believe it was in one of those fights, he actually, Gatti hurt his hand. I think he broke his hand actually. And he went to his corner and his train, and I think he said it into his trainer's ear, if I remember right. It's been a while since I've seen those fights, but I remember him saying something along the lines of, "My hand's hurting," and then his trainer looked at me saying, your hand's hurting? Yeah, my hand's hurting. Your hand's hurting? Okay, so what do you want to do? What do you want us to do? And he goes, you want to stop it? And then Gatti just turned around and said to him, he goes, no, I want to keep fighting. I don't want to quit. And his trainer said, all right, well, let's get on with it then. That's the attitude I'm talking about. That's the difference, between becoming a champion and losing a fight. That's the difference. It's that moment where you need to dig deep. Yeah, your mind's telling you probably, you know what, I want to quit. And this isn't just in boxing. This is in any aspect of life. And trust me, I know what I'm talking about here. Yeah, because you know what, I'm a 2-time cancer survivor, and I wouldn't have come through that. I had a massive battle in the aftermath of my surgery. Yeah. Not once, but twice I had 2 bits of surgery around to have cancer removed from my body. And I could tell you now, I had a massive battle afterwards, in the aftermath. And your mind and your heart is going to tell you, you know what, I've had enough, you know what, that's it, everything's over for me, and all this sort of stuff, etc, etc. And you've got to, but you yourself, no one can do it for you. Yeah, your friends can't do it for you, your family can't do it for you. You have to do it yourself. In your head, have to say, actually, you know what? No, I'm not going to give up. No, I'm not going to let this beat me. You know what? No, I'm going to go down fighting if I have to. Yeah, but I'm going to push through this no matter what. And that's the mentality I'm talking about. When I say in any area of life. Yeah, and the same applies in the ring when you're fighting as well. You've got to have that mentality. You've got to have that mentality to turn around and say, and yeah, some of you might think, oh, whoa, Cypher, you're going a bit deep here, but it's a fact. You've got to dig deep and say, you know what? I'm gonna go, you know what? I'm gonna give everything I've got here, yeah, until the very last bell. And I'm gonna try and find a way to win, no matter what. And unfortunately for us, it was sad to see. It was really sad to see that Rigondeaux quite clearly doesn't have that bit of, that part of him. He doesn't have that within him. He showed someone. He's someone who just showed he had no heart whatsoever, and he gave up. A lot of people gave Nicholas Walter a lot of stick when he gave up against Lomachenko. Yeah, a lot of people say he was on a year layoff, etc. and stuff like that. And I'm going to get to these sort of points, yeah. But the simple fact of the matter is, you would think, you know what, I'm just going to fight to the end. All right, this guy's doing me, he's dominating me, but you know what, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to go out on my shield. I'm either going to get knocked out, yeah, or I'm going to finish the fight and, at least hear the final bell. And Rigondeaux didn't want to do that. He just gave up. I mean, put it this way. If Rigondeaux was winning the fight, and like I said, yeah, I'm just talking about this hypothetically, yeah. I don't agree that there was an injury. I believe there was no injury. Remember that. I'm just trying to repeat myself there again. But put it this way. If Rigondeaux was winning the fight and he had that same hand injury, would he have pulled out of the fight? If he was winning the fight, ask yourself this question. If he was winning the fight and he had this so-called hand injury then, that he's claiming to have now, and he was winning the fight, would he have quit? The answer would be no. He would have kept on fighting even with an injury, because he knew he was winning the fight. Do you see what I mean? But he quit and he thought, if it was an injury, then he thought to himself, oh, I've got an injury here, I can blame it on that. But we all know there wasn't an injury. There was no injury, it was just an excuse. And it was sad to see. But another thing I want to point out is that you've been watching my screen, and on my screen there's a tweet from Rigondeaux. And I'm going to read it out to you. And this, as you can see at the bottom, as you can see, this is from his verified Twitter account. Yeah, you see the blue check mark on the top. And then at the bottom you can see the date. It was actually the date of the fight, 11:46 PM. So literally a couple of hours or an hour or so after the fight. And this is what he says. For everyone that believed on me, obviously you know what his English is like, and even for those that didn't, there's only one thing I could say right now. I am sorry. At VASYL Lomachenko is everything they say he is, and I would like to congratulate him on his victory, and thanks to Top Rank and ESPN for the opportunity. Now, you won't find this tweet anymore. Okay? I screenshotted it, downloaded it, and kept it because I was worried that it would probably get pulled down by Rigondeaux. He put this up on Twitter, and then he also put it up on his Instagram page. Okay, and then one of the guys who saw it, someone who saw it, put a comment saying, where is this tweet? I'm looking for it everywhere. I've checked his Twitter account and I can't find it anywhere on Instagram either. And then I didn't reply, someone else replied saying that he pulled it down because of the amount of abuse he was taking. You know, in terms of what people were saying to him. So he pulled the tweet down. And I'm glad I kind of like screenshotted it at the time I saw it, because I wouldn't have it now. But this clearly tells you, look at the words he's using, look what he's saying. He didn't say anything about a hand injury. You look what he says here. VASYL Lomachenko is everything they say he is. I would like to congratulate him on his victory. Proof that there was no hand injury. You know, that, in my opinion, you know, he had a moment obviously of realization and thought, you know what, just need to be honest here, and you know what, the guy was just way better than me, and you know, I couldn't handle it, so I quit. That's what I see from this tweet. Yeah, he himself says the weight wasn't an issue, going up to 2 weight classes. And I know what a lot of people out there are going to start saying. They're going to say, well, the odds. I'm hearing this because I've watched a lot of videos, and a lot of videos where people are screaming and saying, yeah, all right, you know, Lomachenko won, and they will begrudgingly admitting Lomachenko won and he was the better man and stuff like that. They hated the fact, but then they were like, but you know what? Don't forget, you know, the odds were stacked against Rigo, etc. and stuff like this. I said I wasn't going to make any excuses, so let's talk about some of these things. A lot of people are talking about the weight, the fact that he had to move up 2 weight classes to fight Lomachenko. The fact that Lomachenko, Rigondeaux himself said that he tried to make the fight at 126 pounds and Lomachenko wasn't interested in coming down. Alright, so let's talk about that. Yeah? You always have a choice. Rigondeaux had a choice. Lomachenko has moved up. This fight should have happened when Lomachenko was at 126 pounds. There's no doubt about that, but it never materialised. Lomachenko moved onwards and upwards in terms of weight classes. So they got further apart from each other. And Rigondeaux stayed at 122. Lomachenko didn't chase. Let's not forget this. Lomachenko did not chase Rigondeaux for this fight. Rigondeaux was chasing, taunting and trash talking Lomachenko for this fight. Okay, he might have tried to make the fight at 126, but why, if Lomachenko's on a path he's set out for himself, him and his team have set out for himself and his career, why is he going to stop to come back for Rigondeaux? You know, he's at 130 pounds, so he's got his own mindset in terms of what he's doing with his career. Yeah? So he's not going to turn around and say, oh, hold on, you know what, actually, let's go back down to 126 and I'll fight Rigo as well. You know, that moment had passed. They didn't fight each other when they should have. You know, at 120, when Loma was at 126 and Rigo was at 122. But like, going back to what I was saying, you've always got a choice. Now, Rigondeaux was the one calling him out and all that sort of stuff, and he said he tried to make the fight at 126, but they weren't having it. At that point, you have a choice. You have a choice to make now as a fighter. And a lot of people are saying, no, he didn't have a choice. He didn't have a choice. You did have a choice. You had a choice to either accept that you would have to move up to 130 pounds, or you try and push for the fight to happen at 126, and if it's not going to happen at 126, you turn around and say, well, look, if you're not going to meet me halfway and come down to 126 and make this a more, you know, make this a fight that's a little bit easier for me to go get to in terms of weight, then you know what? Forget it. I don't want to fight. Forget it. There's no point in making this fight. I'll move on. I mean, a lot of people are going to turn around and say, oh, well, that's not true. No one would want to fight Rigo. Rigo needed a big fight. You know, he's well overdue to have a big fight. And yeah, I totally agree with that. But there are other guys you could have fought at a weight class that was closer to your own. You know, If you look at it, at super bantamweight where Rigondeaux, was the champion, you've got Jesse Magdaleno, Ray Vargas. When you look at even the weight division above, at featherweight at 126 pounds, you got Gary Russell Jr., you got Lee Selby, who's the IBF champion, Gary Russell Jr., who's the WBC, you got Oscar Valdez, who's the WBO, you've got, the WBA champion, you've got Leo Santa Cruz, you've got Abner Mares, there's Carl Frampton at 126, there's Scott Quigg, there's plenty of options there for you. And a lot of people are going to say, well, yeah, and I know this already, that a lot of those fighters have ducked Rigondeaux when they were at 122, like Carl Frampton, like Leo Santa Cruz, Scott Quigg included, but chase them down, hound them. If you step into their division and you work yourself into a mandatory position to fight those individuals, what can they do? They have to face you, or they have to do the other. There's only two things they could do: retire from the sport, move up in weight again, or fight you. So there were other options for Rigondeaux, big fights that he could have made, and pushed and forced. But he opted to go for Lomachenko. And that's what I'm talking about. You always have a choice. You have a choice. And far as I'm concerned, if you could do all this trash talking, all this stuff over social media to get Lomachenko to fight you, then you could do that with any other fighter out there and get the fans on your side and say, right, make this fight. Come on, Leo. Come on, Carl, whoever it is, and really get on their back. But he didn't. In the past, when it comes to Leo Santa Cruz and Carl Frampton and Scott Quigg, he never put the kind of pressure he did with Lomachenko. He didn't turn the heat up like he did over social media with the boxing tunes and all this sort of stuff. So that's why I say there's always a choice, and he had a choice, and his choice and his decision was to move up 2 weight classes. And anyway, anyone who's trying to use the weight as an excuse, let's be honest, he himself has not even used that as an excuse. His initial reaction in the ring was the weight wasn't an issue. And if he's saying that himself, then no one out there, none of you Rigondeaux fans out there can turn around and say the weight was an issue. Oh, he didn't have a choice. He had to move up 2 weight classes because, he needed a big fight against Lomachenko. Well, there are other options. I've just proven that. So I'm not going to hear any of those excuses. I told you I was not going to accept any excuses when it comes to this whole situation. Sorry. Okay, so let's talk about the size difference. Okay? A lot of people were, referring to the height, how much taller Lomachenko was than Rigondeaux. So what? We've seen Rigondeaux. This is a quick one. I'm not even going to spend too much time on this point, which is Rigondeaux has fought quite a few guys that are taller than him. Most of the guys he fights are taller than him. You look at Nonito Donaire, he was taller than him. You look at, I forget that guy's name, the Japanese fighter, he was way taller than him. And he beat him as well. So it's not like, Rigondeaux hasn't fought guys that are taller than him, or, who stand over him, who tower over him. He has, and he's beaten them. So the whole height, the whole size thing, again, I don't accept it. There are no excuses here, guys. The simple fact of the matter was that Rigondeaux, for all you Rigondeaux fans out there, the hardcore following of Rigondeaux, I'm going to be honest with you. There are no excuses here. Rigondeaux just wasn't good enough. But I think the biggest disappointment in all of this is how he disappointed the boxing fans. Rigondeaux. Especially his own set of fans. Like I said, his hardcore following that he has. How he disappointed them. You talked a good game. You talked a big fight. You know, you said you were gonna do this. You said you were gonna do that. You said you were gonna, Lomachenko wasn't gonna be able to handle your power and your ability and all your skill sets, etc. and stuff like that. You know, you hype the fight up massively. I've actually, I've actually turned around and said to a lot of people that I think it's great the way he's self-promoting himself in this fight, and which benefits the fight. I've talked about it a lot of times. I've made videos about this, about what he's done over social media, Rigondeaux, in terms of the trash talking, which gave the fight the hype it needed. Not only that, it actually was the reason the fight was made, because he kept on pressing and pushing it, and getting underneath Lomachenko's skin to make the fight happen. He was doing his own camp lives with the likes of the Boxing Voice. He was doing his own media day workouts over Facebook. He was doing all the right things. And he was talking the talk. But come fight night, he didn't walk the walk. And all the fans, that hardcore fans that follow him, and including myself, neutral boxing fans like myself, who enjoy, who were rubbing their hands and licking their lips at the prospect of this mouth-watering, fight between two top technicians in the sport of boxing, to come out and to put a performance on like that was sad and extremely disappointing to see. You let your fans down, you let the boxing fans down now. Just to walk in there after all of that and to put a lackluster performance on and to quit. You owed your fans a lot more than that. There was a lot of fans out there. I was reading a lot of posts in comments in Instagram posts, Facebook posts, YouTube videos, etc. And a lot of people were saying, even in my own videos, Rigo's number one, Rigo's gonna smash him, Rigo's gonna do this to him, Rigo's gonna do that to him. And you let all those people down. You didn't even have you didn't even think to yourself, you didn't even think like, I've got to keep going. Even if it means this is how it's going to go for the next, last 6 or 7 rounds of this fight, whatever, I'm going to see the end of that belt, or I'm going to go out on my shield. But I am going to try and keep trying until that final bell sounds, or until he knocks me out and finishes me, or the referee stops it. That was disappointing to see as well. The question you have to ask now is, though, what is next for Rigondeaux? What is next for him? We all know, out in the US media absolutely hate Rigondeaux. And let's be honest, they hate everything about him. They hate his style of boxing. They don't enjoy watching it. All those people like Dan Raphael, or what his name is, from the fat boy from ESPN. Even HBO, Jim Lampley, etc. All these people, all these media outlets over there in the US absolutely hate Rigondeaux. They absolutely do. And you've put yourself in a position now where you've just added more fuel to their fire. But not only that, you've put yourself in a position is that which US TV network is going to pick up one of your fights again? Which promoter is really going to put you on one of their cards again? Like, in terms of a big fight, not a big fight, but like an important fight, like a world title fight, etc. and stuff like that. Who's going to believe in you? And I talked about earlier on that where I said Rigondeaux had choices. He could have gone for another route, but he chose to go after Lomachenko. Now, if he tries to call out any of those names I mentioned, like Gary Russell Jr., if he moved up to featherweight, Gary Russell Jr., etc., Leo Santa Cruz, Carl Frampton, etc., etc. You heard the names I used earlier on. Which one of them are actually going to fight him now? Because if he tried to do what he did with Lomachenko, and trash talk him and try and get a fight made with him, they'll just turn around and say, I'm not fighting that guy. He quit. It's not even worth it. He's not even relevant anymore. And that's the key thing. You've put yourself in a position where people can say now, you're not relevant. You know, you're a quitter. I don't want to fight a quitter. I want to give the fans a good fight. And fighting Rigondeaux, that's a bad idea. Because it's a bad fight for the fans. Because Rigondeaux has a tendency to quit. You're going to be labelled a quitter now. And people aren't going to want to fight you. You know, like I said, which US network is going to pick him up now? I've always said this, that I personally think he made a mistake joining Rock Nation. I think he should have signed with the likes of Al Heyman and his PBC brand and Showtime. I think he would have done a lot better over there, and they would have managed his career a little bit better as well. He would have made a lot more money as well, because Al Heyman does pay his fighters really well. I personally think he made a bad choice in signing up with Rock Nation. I don't know if that has something to do with the fact that he's pals and mates with Andre Ward. But you got to make your own choices in life. You know, you can't let someone else lead you. And he's put himself in this position now. You know, you might have got better fights as well. Al Heyman would have made better fights for you as well. But now after this, I don't know how Rigondeaux comes back from it. I don't know how Rigo comes back from it all. You know, where does he go now? I mean, maybe he could fight here in the UK against Elise Selby or Josh Warrington, but he's never ever going to be given the respect that people gave him before this fight. He's never going to get the recognition he's been craving for, that's for sure. You know, he's just going to get, people are just going to poke fun at him now. And you've now given every fighter out there a reason not to fight you. Even the ones that were running from you, you've strengthened their reasoning for not fighting you now. I'll be really shocked if he's able to make another big fight like this against some of the names which I've already mentioned in this video earlier on. I'll be really, really surprised. I can't see it happening. You know, honestly, I don't know what's next for Rigondeaux. I don't know where he goes with his career now. You know, people are just gonna taunt him from now on. You know, he's 37 years old. You know, he's not getting any younger. He's approaching the end of his career. You know, maybe it's time I hope he's made enough money in the sport, and whatever money he has made, I hope he's invested it well. Because maybe, it's time to hang him up. Maybe not just yet, but at some point he might want to start considering it. Because if he can't get another big fight, what's the point? I mean, definitely let me know what you guys think. I definitely want to hear what you guys think. Where does Rigondeaux go from here on out? What does he do with the remainder of his career? Do you think he should just hang him up? Is there any way back from this? Especially considering the way, things have gone in his career in terms of the lack of recognition and respect he's received from the US media outlets, boxing fans alike, casual fans, etc. There's been a lot of hate on Rigondeaux over the years, and this doesn't help his situation. So is there a career now for Rigondeaux? I mean, the way you got to look at it is, if it was tough to sell Rigondeaux before, if it was tough to sell him before as a fighter, how much more difficult is it going to be now to be able to sell him as a fighter to the boxing public? That's what you need to think about. Is if it's been so difficult for this man to get a big fight like this one against Lomachenko, for so many years he's been trying and he's not got the fight, and people, TV networks out there in the US anyway, especially in the UK, they've always loved him, but in the US, it's been so difficult for him, in terms of his career. If it was difficult for him back then, imagine how difficult it's going to be for him now. That's the question you got to ask when you're thinking about, where does Rigondeaux go with his career next? And like I said, guys, here on Keep It Real Boxing, I'm always going to keep it real with you. I'm always going to be honest. You know, I've said this all the time to you guys. You know, I actually read an interesting quote the other day. A comment, sorry, the other day. And no, the other day, sorry, a couple of weeks ago. Get my dates mixed up here. But a couple of weeks ago, you know, we saw Cotto versus Saddam Ali. And I didn't get time to make a video for that. Obviously, I haven't been making videos lately, and I really wished I made a video on that now and made some time for it, because it applies here a little bit. You look at, in terms of how fans think, in terms of how, you know, fans are so clingy to their favourite fighters that they will support their favourite fighter no matter what, even if they know, they watch a fight and they see their fighter lost that fight, yeah, and they actually did lose the fight, the result went the other way, they will still cold-heartedly fight to the very end, saying that no, it was a robbery, or, you know, no, this is the reason why he lost, and, you know, the excuses start to come out. But they will never admit that their fighter has lost. And with Saddam Ali, like, I love Cotto. I absolutely love Miguel Cotto. Yeah, I think he's a great fighter. He's given us some great fights over the years. You know, he's put in some great performances. And I was watching that, and I thought, you know what? I really want to see Cotto go out with a win, go out with a bang. You know, do it in style. You know, I wasn't too happy about the fact that he chose Saddam Ali. I'm going to be honest, you all know that. But then I was watching the fight, and I just thought, wow. Okay, and I was actually scoring the fight, I remember as well, and I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was like, wow, Saddam Ali's, you know, he's winning this fight. He's outboxing Cotto. You know? I was like, wow, okay, as much as I was thinking, come on, I was literally sitting there saying, come on, Cotto, come on, look. Come on. You know, get it together. You've got to get this win. It's your last fight. You know, the last fight of your career. Go out with a bang. And as I kept watching the fight, you know, Saddam Ali won the first few, you know, the earlier rounds. Cotto came out back in the middle rounds, and then the last, you know, like the latter part of the fight, you know, Saddam Ali won the fight. He won those rounds, and he won the fight. You didn't see me sitting there saying, "Oh no, he's, you know, Cotto this and Cotto had an injury," and da-da. I didn't make excuses. And that's the problem. And one of the quotes I saw in a video about Cotto versus Ali was there was a die-hard Cotto fan in there trying to get every excuse under the book, trying to discredit Ali's victory and his performance over Cotto. Even Cotto himself didn't do that. He gave credit where credit was due. But this guy was just doing everything. And then there was a woman on there, she made a comment, and she turned around and said, a female boxing fan, and she turned around and said, "You sound like you're a real die-hard fan, etc, etc." And she said, "You know what the problem is with boxing?" And I totally agree with what she's saying here, because I say it, but I say it in my own way, but I love the way she said it, is that the problem in boxing is that we have a lot of fans of boxers, but not a lot of fans of boxing itself. And what she meant by that is that we don't have enough fans out there. Yeah, you can have a favourite fighter. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that. You can have a favourite fighter and support that fighter, and that's your guy. I get it. There's nothing wrong with that. But what she was trying to say is that if your favourite fighter loses and you watch the fight and you say, "All right, yeah, he definitely lost that fight," admit it. You know, don't, you know, because when you don't admit it, you're actually hurting the sport. You know, you're showing that you're not actually a real boxing fan. You're not actually a fan of the sport itself. You're a fan of that fighter, and that's it. Because if you love the sport and you want to see it grow, you give credit where credit's due. You know, every fan out there who watches boxing should be first and foremost a fan of the sport, and then you should be a fan of a fighter. That's the way I see it anyway. And I'm only referencing this because you know loads of people are going to make excuses. People are not going to like what they saw on Saturday night. So they're going to try and drum up reasons as to why, and, you know, why Rigondeaux, what happened with Rigondeaux happened. And then they're going to try and, you know, discredit Lomachenko's performance and his victory. But the simple fact of the matter, you can't. Because we all know Rigondeaux quit. It had nothing to do with a hand injury. But like I was saying, as to where, you know, Rigondeaux goes next with his career, You know, I have no idea. I don't know what he does next. I really don't. But, you know, hopefully he can come back from it, but the likelihood is no. And you know what? I just remembered. Yeah, I can't believe I actually forgot this point. Don't forget, the WBA will now strip Rigondeaux of his 122-pound world title. He's just lost that belt. Because remember what they said, I did a video on it, you know, where the WBA said that if he beats Lomachenko-Rigondeaux, he will have 5 days to decide whether he's going to continue at 122 pound as the WBA champion or stay at 130 and continue as the WBO champion. But they also said if he loses to Lomachenko, he will be stripped of his world title at 122, the WBA world title. Right? And it will be put up in a vacant title fight between his mandatory challenger, Moises Flores, and another opponent yet to be decided. So Rigondeaux has lost massively in this fight. Not only he's put himself in a position where he's going to get more criticism, he's going to get less recognition from the US media, etc., which I've all spoken about, but he's also lost his world title. I mean, I don't know where Rigondeaux is really going to go from here on out. I really don't. And what about VASYL Lomachenko? Well, onwards and upwards. You know, this victory just opens up more opportunities for him. A lot of people are talking about Mikey Garcia, but I believe, you know, Mikey Garcia's got a fight coming up, so that's not going to happen anytime soon. There's Tank Davis. A lot of people are mentioning Tank Davis, Gervonta Tank Davis, Mayweather Promotions. To be honest with you, I don't see that fight happening either. I made a video about this a long time ago where I've clearly stated I believe Tank Davis is avoiding Lomachenko. You know, maybe not Tank himself. I think maybe not Davis himself, maybe not Gervonta Davis, but definitely his promotional team, Mayweather Promotions. You know, Leonard Ellaby, Mayweather Promotions, Mayweather himself, Floyd Mayweather himself has stated that they have a path set out for Tank Davis, and basically it doesn't involve fighting Lomachenko. So he's a great fight, he's doing what he's doing, we're doing what we have to do basically for Tank. So there's no interest from Mayweather Promotions to, you know, line up Tank Davis for Lomachenko. I don't see it happening. So, but it'll be interesting to see what happens next for Lomachenko. Like I said, you know, there's plenty of options out there for him, onwards and upwards. This only helps his position in the sport of boxing and his status. Again, congratulations to him. You know, he got the job done on Saturday night. I don't think there's much more for me to say here. You know, I'm sure I've missed points that I wanted to talk about. I always do when I make videos. I don't list what I'm going to talk about. I just talk about it, you know, off the cuff. And I'm probably going to sit back and watch this and think, oh, I've got to talk about that and this. If I do, I'll make another video, of course. But for now, I think that's all I've got to say. As always, guys, let me know what you think. Keep it clean, of course, as well. Please, no racial slurs and foul language. Keep it to boxing and facts, or, you know, to your point. I don't mind you sharing your opinions, but don't do it with hate. You know, it is something that's starting to annoy me when I'm not just on my channel, but on all channels. It's like, God, can't you just have a civilized conversation these days? You know, act like adults, basically, is what I'm saying. Yeah, have a mature conversation about something. As always, guys, you know, like, share, and subscribe. And of course, if you don't like the video, then you know what to do with it. But as always, you know, this is Cypherbox reminding you to keep it real.